Moving on to assets accumulation. In most cases, most people from their working age, 20 to 65 or 67 or 70, then that phase where they're consistent, like not even 67, I think even 50 or 60, late 60s. Then that's the stage where they're consistent trying to accumulate. So that phase during your prime age, my prime age, I want to get as much asset as I possibly can. Then once I start getting to my retirement age, that's when you start getting people wanting to consolidate their debts, wanting to pay off this particular type of loan, wanting to start thinking about, okay, should I move some certain things from the SMSF, where I get tax-free kind of income generating, or should I transfer the ownership of some of my properties or my business into this particular type of entity because the tax benefit on that is better. So there is a timeline in everything we do. So when you think about it, for those of you that watch sports, there is the quarters during the game, 15 minutes, quarter. I'm not saying life is like a game, but we all do have that timeline, quarters. And I think it's like about that 4 quarters in our life. So from when you start working, and do the maths with me, I think when you start working from your 20s to 30s, let's call that the first quarter. From your 30s to your 40s, second quarter. 40s to 50, third quarter. And your 50 to your 60, fourth quarter. If in your first quarter of your life, hey, I know you're enjoying this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. What I call a financial loser, because you're not winning financially. It sounds harsh, but you're not winning financially. And you go, okay, all right, I've got second quarter, 30s to my 40s. If you still know where you need to be, then once you start getting to your third quarter, really the game is on. It's make or break now. If I can't get it right, my 40s to my 50s, it might be game over.
Well, what is getting it right? What is getting it right?
Getting it right, it depends on the individual. Everyone's lifestyle is very, very different. For me, I might need $1,000 a month to live a very modest, happy life. For you, you might need $5,000 a month. So it really does depend based on your lifestyle, right? Some people are very, very frugal with their money, and they're happy to go to the dollar shop, and they just love your exercise of haggling. They see it like fun. Go there, how can I get something that they've marked up for $10, get it for $5? Some people don't like that. They would rather pay premium price. So it really does depend, right? So
at the end of the day, in that scenario, everyone still has the end goal of being able to live freely. No?
Correct.
Because it depends on the person for what that might take. But within each quarter of your life, the earlier that you actually obtain the assets in order to buy back your time, thus you then become free.
I love what you just said. Let's stay on that. What we are all doing, we're all trying to buy back our time. That's what it is. Right now, we are trading our time so we can eventually buy back our time. You clock into work, you give your time, so you get paid for your time. The aim is I want to clock into work as much as I can, as quickly as I can, so eventually I don't have to sell my time. Then I have the freedom. Hey, I know you're enjoying this video. Go below, get your tickets, and I'll see you there. If I choose, because there's a difference from having to work and choosing to work. We all want to quickly get to that phase where we choose to work, not have to work. The quicker we can get to that phase, I'm not saying that means, oh, that's it, you just sit on the couch, you're not doing anything. No, the quicker you can get to that phase, the happier, the freer, the more alive you will feel, and you get the option to be able to even impact other people's lives because you've got time to be more present with your family, you've got more time to give back to the world, you've got more time to really pursue what makes you feel alive. Got it? So yeah, that's basically the end game for all of us. Now, debt management. Oh God, I love this. I had a situation when a client said to me, Collins, I can't sleep. I've got $1 million in debt. I'm like, and I can't sleep. I need to deal with this. So managing that, because not having debt is not for everyone. Some people are really, really good in managing debt. Some people strive in getting more debts. The more they can get, the better the sleep at night. Why it's the opposite for others. So it comes down to your threshold. You got to work out what works for you. And you also got to manage your debts. You got to be very cautious with your debts. There's different level of debts, there's debts, when you're saying debts, you're leveraging people's money. That's what debt is. It could be a credit card. It could be a car loan. It could be a home loan. It could be a business loan. But that debt that you're getting, is that debt consistently taken away from you, or is it adding to you? So that's where it obviously leads on to the topic of good debts, bad debts. All right? Without me having to go into what a good debt and a bad debt is, I'm sure we all know what a good debt is and a bad debt is. Can someone just quickly give me a quick definition, good debt, this is a good debt, this is a bad debt, and why?
I would say bad debt, car loan,
Why? Why is it a bad debt?
because it's a liability, doesn't appreciate over time. Well, depending on how you use it.
Doesn't make it cash flow.
If you rent it out, yes.
Then it becomes a good debt. Okay, so not, it doesn't mean car debt is a bad debt. It can also be a good debt.
If it generates more cash than it uses.
Well, then it's a good debt. So then, what's a good debt then?
So it generates income.
Generates income, okay?
So like,
More than
Asset value more than the debt.
Asset value more than the debt, yes.
but then that goes like, for example, if you look at a house or a mortgage, right? You can use it as good debt, where it brings income, but then it also can be bad debt.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But it's not like the taxes.
Yeah, absolutely. Very simply placed. A good debt is something that puts money in your pocket. A bad debt is something that takes money in your pocket. But also a bad debt can also be a good debt. What do I mean? Some real estate may be taking money away from your pocket, but it only becomes a good debt once it starts putting money in your pocket, or once you sell it and it's appreciated value, then that bad debt all of a sudden becomes a good debt. So just knowing the difference between a good debt and, when you're making those decisions, then you start asking yourself, do I really need to get that credit card? Do I really need to go buy that stuff that I can't afford now? Do I need to go get an afterpay for this new latest shoe that just came out? So you really start understanding that, going, well, if I can't afford it, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I'm trying to impress someone, or am I doing this because I don't feel confident about myself as a human being? Because most of the time, let's face it, most times people buy houses because they're trying to impress someone. And that same house they buy, most times they're hardly even there. So what's the point? So just be aware of that. And you got to start having that conversation with yourself, and just because we can't afford to keep making all this kind of silly decisions anymore. We just can't.